Welcome back to Planting Life Matters. If this is your first time stopping by, thank you. I appreciate you stopping by to check out my channel. My name's Deborah, and I am a gardener out of Zone 8A in Dallas, Texas. Let's take a journey. I have this picture that is right below my doorbell of Jordan and I when I first bought this house back in 2005, 6, somewhere around there. And Jordan was about 4 years old. Now he is an old man. My grandbaby is 21. I lose track. Plus, I don't want to date myself too much. But anywho, I love posting that right here at the front door because we were in this section right here when we were gardening together. So that's how long my baby boy has been helping me in the garden. Aww. Aww. This is a few plants that I have. Again, a house plant, another Tricania. I never bought this with the intention to leave it on my front porch. My goal is to take it out of this pot. You can see that there are 2 stalks in one pot. Whenever I buy a plant, I usually look for multiple stalks because I will take it out and I will usually cut it in half, and then you have 2 plants. So those were intended to be a center of a pot, like you have a thriller and a spiller. And so I think I was going to use it as a thriller in some pot and then have something that's spilling like this creeping Jenny that's hanging over. I am using what you call Big Leaf Begonia. I bought some pink ones last year and they were amazing. I bought these maybe about 3 weeks ago. They were a lot smaller. And this will continue to grow and get larger and larger. So I have a couple of them sitting on the porch. Some items that are not intended to stay here that I am going to put in the ground a little bit later. And this is an Arabian jasmine made of Orleans. And it does put off little white flowers. I should have this in the ground. It's been sitting here for several weeks. I'm going to put it in the back though. I usually buy a couple of ferns and put them around the front porch. They do pretty well in full shade here in Zone 8A, Dallas, Texas. It gets ridiculously hot, but I do end up having to water them sometimes daily for the most part. I have an airplane going over. Sorry, guys. Loud, 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 loud. Okay. I have Heuchera that I have planted and another big leaf begonia, some hostas that are coming back. This is full shade on this side. And I have a big mirror that I have hanging over my porch. I love mirrors. If you followed me for a while, I've kind of talked about that before where I always put mirrors in my garden. I'm trying not to be seen because girlfriend ain't looking too cute right now. So I have mirrors here. Now this area is not looking so hot for the moment, and that's primarily because I have a lot of daffodils and some other spring bulbs that I planted last fall that came up. And now that they've all died back, it's time for me to go in and cut some things back, but I was trying to let them stay as long as I could so they can soak up as much sun and feed the bulbs for next year. And so that's why I haven't done much with that just yet. Here's a plant that I picked up about 3 weeks ago. I am absolutely in love with. I'm not going to leave it here. It's just sitting here. It is called a Youngstown Andorra juniper. I don't think this video will be able to show and do this thing justice. It is such a weird shaped plant. It will act as more or less some type of a ground cover, especially if you put it on a sloped area, which is what I'm planning to do. It would prefer full sun. Again, it's a juniper. It's more soft to touch than like a blue point juniper, and it has a beautiful green color to it. Very wispy looking and unusual. And so my goal is to put it a little further out on the side of my house where there's a slope and have it grow down. It can grow up to 6 feet wide. Junipers are really moderate to slow growers, so I don't anticipate it getting that big in a few years. It will take a while. I still have some winter interest flowers left over in the pot. When they are that pretty and that color is adorable, it's hard for me to pull them, so I let them stay as long as I can. I have a blue point juniper that was sitting in the shade last year in a corner, and which was a no-no. It wants full sun, and it probably got way too much water because they do not want wet feet. And this one, I just didn't take care of. So you can see the damage on it. That's going to get pulled out a little bit later. Typically, I have elephant ears that grow to be about 6-7 feet here. I've done that for the last, oh gosh, 5-6 years. I'm just kind of over it up front. So I want to do something different. I don't know what yet, but we'll see. I have a couple of hanging baskets that have the big leaf begonias in them, along with some creeping Jenny. And I have a variegated ivy. I can't remember the name of it though. It escapes me. But that's in there, and I'm hoping to see how that plays out. And I also have a coleus in here. This is one of the larger coleuses that will get really big if I can keep this alive. And I say that because it's so hard with hay baskets if you don't have a drip system running to it. And I'm still working on getting that done. And so I have some mums that are coming back. You know, I buy mums every single year, and they don't do well in pots for me here because it's just, I don't know, it's just really difficult to grow them in pots to extend the life of them and have them look really pretty for a long time. So I typically take mine out and I will put them in the ground, and they seem to do so much better, and they will start to bloom here soon. And they will bloom throughout the entire, oh, as soon as I said that, I looked over under my tree and I have mums blooming already. So you can see all these buds on this mum that I took out of a pot in the fall, and that one is budded up as well. So I usually put them around my trees, and they will come back. So in the fall, I have beautiful mums. All right, so here's a bed that I'm making a little bit different than I have over the last few years. My Everillo carex was a bit damaged from the freeze this past year, this past winter, but it's still alive. But you can see all of the ugly on top, which, you know, a lot of ornamental grasses will do that anyway when it dies back. I can come in and cut that back to clean it up some. I just haven't done it. And honestly, I've never done it with this grass. It always just flushes out on its own. But I think I am going to trim it up a little bit this year because it did just turn a lot more brown than it normally does. But the good news is there's lots of that chartreuse green that is still coming through. I have a lot of hostas in this bed. I used this hosta here, used to get up to about almost 3 feet tall. I took it out this year and I split it up. It was starting to struggle. I think that is the, oh gosh, which one is that? It escapes me. Maybe I'll put it on the screen if I can remember. But it gets really large, and I had to dig it up because it was starting to stunt the growth because the soil needed to be amended. So I did end up amending the soil some and just splitting it and moving it around. I also put in some hosta bare roots, and I see that I only had 2 bare roots, and that is coming through. And here's another one. That's from a bare root. And I have coleus back here tucked in little spots. And as tiny as those are, it will reach up to at least 24 inches before it's all said and done. I love choosing coleus darker colors that are complementary, I think, to the fall. And then that way you have some interest all year long. So when I'm in the spring picking out plants, I'm still thinking about the fall, which is the reason why I always get this color here. I also have an elephant ear bulb that's coming through. And again, with the big leaf begonia. I love those. This is the dark leaf one, though, the dark wax leaf. The other one that I showed you at first was the lighter green. So, oh, and Dear Dolores is the name of this plant. This is so pretty. Look at that flower coming through. So it's a hydrangea, which I've never had success with in just pots. This is the first time in the front of my garden I'm planting one in the ground. And Dear Dolores prefers to have full shade. I think it would do better in my zone because of the heat, but it's so pretty. I can tell that blue is coming through. Oh, I love that. So, oh, and by the way, my sister lives with me and her name is Dolores. This is right in front of her recliner in her bedroom. So that was intentional, and I hope she gets to enjoy that for many years. And another blue salvia, the Blue Mystic Spires salvia. Oh, wait, let me go back over here because I have a little surprise. I have more of the blue salvia, but I also, Jordan and I, little Jordan on that picture, we just put in this gate, a really fun gate, because I am planning to grow some roses, and this is a blaze red rose. Even though it's called red, it sure looks pink to me. But when it first comes out, it is so much darker, and then it starts to turn a lighter pinkish color. So I have two here. One is in a pot, and that's because it used to be in a different location. And we just put the gate up a few days ago, so I haven't had a chance to plant anything in the ground that's going to climb over it yet. I've already talked to my neighbor about, taking over this entire area. She's okay with that because I'm a little bit on her side of the property with the fence. So I did get her permission, but my goal is to start out here at the sidewalk, and then I am going to put in a brick pathway. I'm going to eat up all this dead looking St. Augustine right here because it doesn't get a very good water. Well, the watering is not great in this area. I think my sprinklers are not hitting here, but I'm going to do a brick pathway that's going to lead up to this gate, go through the gate. But in the meantime, I'm going to cheat and go around. And hopefully one day there will be roses that go all the way over the top. And then that pathway will go all the way back to the back gate, which enters into my back garden. And so I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with this space, but a couple of options. And I would love to get some ideas from you. So let me tell you that I am on the south side of my house. And if I'm standing on her side, that would be her north. So right here in the shade at this moment it's shaded, but it is the south side. So I can do some pretty sunny plants here in this area. I thought about doing raised garden beds, some really pretty ones with a pathway that leads to several, and still put some different type of flowers in as well, build up the landscape. I don't know yet. So that's part of the plan. And this is the back side of the gate. Where did I get this thing? I got it on Target, actually. I don't remember the name of it, but I will pop that into the video description if anybody's interested. And it's a pretty good, solid, fence. It has a little, let me go back around this way. I'm sorry about the light. So it has a little latch on it. Like, why do I need this? Why do I need this? Well, I don't. It's not about needing it. It's just, you just do it. It's another something to grow a plant on, right? So, and then you would walk through the gate. I see me walking around the gate instead of through the gate. I have a few zinnias coming through. I have some dahlias that are popping up. I planted from bare root. My granddaughter, she picked those out. They are purple, so they're going to kind of go with this purple and red theme that was not necessarily planned, but it's turning out to be purple and red. And let's see. My St. Augustine is struggling a little bit this year. It's just slow to come to life. I think there's a lot of thatch that's really thick underneath. So I'm going to be doing some videos on updating my St. Aug and trying to get that together. And I do have some pots that are still hanging on. This is a kaleidoscope shrub. I had never grown these before. I did a video last year. And so if you haven't seen that, I think it was a fall video about planting shrubs in pots. So this is the kaleidoscope. And it did lose the vast majority of its leaves. It wasn't completely deciduous, but it did lose a lot of them. And so it was really scraggly looking with a lot of, sticks popping out of it. But I didn't want to, cut those back completely. And I'm glad I didn't, because what I realized, if I can get in there, a lot of these grow on some of the old wood. So I'm glad I didn't cut all this down the way you would maybe a salvia or something, and then it would come back from the root. But yeah, this started to come back on the old wood and put off some new wood shoots as well. So I have some purple sweet potato vines in there because I thought, once that grows out, that'll be really pretty up against that chartreuse. And some silvery Dusty Miller that's in there as well. And a few things that we'll be filling in. These are some really large annuals that will take over this entire pot later. In the next 30, 45 days, you won't see anything inside of there. And this is not looking so hot just yet, but I do have some purple Venka, kind of a light bluish purple Venka. They're very tiny, inexpensive. I had to go cheap, y'all. When you're trying to plant like a big drift in masses. I think I did about 30 in this area perhaps, but hopefully those will survive and get much thicker and prettier. You can see my tulips have not been cut back yet. It is time. Again, I was waiting for those to soak up as much energy as possible. A blue spruce, juniper, that's out here as well. There's some creeping Jenny that's hanging on. It makes it through the freeze just fine, by the way. So that's good. And that's that. I haven't done too much up front. Now on this side, all I've done is just kind of cleaned up these live oak leaves I hate the live oak. Everybody know I don't like the live oak tree. Oh, it just puts out so many, many, many leaves that you cannot get rid of. So I've cleaned them up like a dozen times. I have some stone crop up front because irrigation is limited on this side of the bed, which is a good thing for the stone crop. It doesn't want that much water. And it will turn a beautiful, beautiful red later in the year. I have, again, some really giant coleus that's going to come up I need to go pick up a couple of more because I want it to become a circular coleus filled bed. I'm going to pick some more up. And that's about it that I'm going to show for the moment. I have, a bunch of projects still going on. It's time for me to come out and clean up some of the things and cut back. Oh, the daylilies. Look at these daylilies. Okay. The daylilies are one of the oldest things, or probably the oldest thing in this bed. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, and they are absolutely huge. It is definitely time for me to dig up each one of these, and I could probably make 3 to 4 daylilies out of each one, especially this one. I certainly can make several daylilies out of that. It is just too overgrown. It is starting to send up its shoots and ready to bloom here really soon, typically around May, Mother's Day. It always shows up for me. They are an incredibly beautiful peach color, like an apricot. And they're stunning. And they are showstoppers. They will put off so much blooms. And I usually have people stop by. It's the number one thing that grabs their attention. So I'm excited to see those getting ready to come through. And you can see the daffodils just flopping over. It looks really messy, but it's okay. It serves a purpose. And I'll cut those back and put some new mulch in here real soon. But that's it, guys. I just wanted to share some of the updates for the front garden bed, what's going on and what's coming. But again, hit the like button, subscribe, because I love getting your feedback, especially if you have some ideas about what I can do on the side of the house. I would love to hear that from you. Thank you, guys.